Farah. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Tuesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Aaron Williams. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. A Tuesday night that finds the Florida Gators back on the basketball court. They are taking on South Carolina. Right now, Florida with a 10-point lead at the half. 39-29. Again, this is a South Carolina team that Florida had beat by 47 in Columbia just a couple short weeks ago. You had to figure Florida was going to maybe struggle a little bit tonight, coming off a big emotional win over Kentucky. Before that, it was Mike White in Georgia. Then it was the first place game against Texas A&M. And now tonight you're playing lowly South Carolina, who you just beat by 47. To the Gamecocks' credit, they're battling, but Florida's still up 10 at the half. We'll keep you updated as second half action is about to tip off. We are a week away from the NFL Scouting Combine. On the field work will begin, I believe, next Thursday or Friday, but all the stuff in Indianapolis really starts 1 week from today, as over 330 NFL draft prospects will go to Indianapolis. Of course, the Jaguars have 11 picks in this year's draft. They do not have a first rounder for the first time, by the way, in the history of the franchise. The Jaguars have always had a first round pick. That is not the case this year, stemming back from the Travis Hunter trade, but the Jaguars do have 11 picks overall, including 4 in the top 100. So we will certainly talk about the NFL draft and the scouting combine. In fact, coming up in just a bit, Ryan Roberts, A to Z Sports.com, will join me to talk about the combine, to talk about the Jaguars draft prospects, and talk about Travis Hunter and what's going on with him, playing primarily on the defensive side of the football. Also, Travis Holmes, Big Cat Country, and the Duval Dive podcast will join us later on tonight in the 9 o'clock hour to take a look at the Jaguar offseason. We are less than 3 weeks away from NFL free agency. So with that as a backdrop, I want to start talking about position by position. We're going to start with quarterbacks and running backs tonight, and we will go through every position for the rest of the week. Talk about 2025 that was and what we expect in the offseason heading into 2026. And as a matter of fact, that's where we will begin, because every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Aaron Williams. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No, because it is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
All right, so 3 weeks away, in fact, less than 3 weeks away from NFL free agency. So you talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars at the quarterback position and at the running back position. And let's begin with quarterbacks. Well, obviously, it was an incredible year for Trevor Lawrence. No doubt about that. An absolutely incredible year for number 16. That's what happens when you are a finalist for the MVP of the National Football League. That's also what happens when you're a finalist for the Comeback Player of the Year. Trevor Lawrence was just phenomenal under Liam Cohen in year number 1. The interesting thing was, though, it did not start out phenomenally for Trevor Lawrence. Remember, there were struggles the first month and a half of the year, but really after the bye week, I'd say after the 35-7 meltdown against the Rams in London, that's really when the Jaguars started to take off, and particularly when Trevor Lawrence started to take off. So Trevor Lawrence coming into the year, he's just simply the guy. There's no doubt about that. He is going to be the starting quarterback. He is the face of the franchise. Trevor Lawrence did a fantastic job this past season. As far as what you can do moving forward, I don't know. Nick Mullins, we never saw him, right? We never saw him in meaningful action. The only time you saw Nick Mullins was in mop-up duty, right? I don't even think Trevor left the game injured. Maybe he did for a play here or a play there, but you don't really know what you have at the backup quarterback spot because Trevor was so durable for basically the entire season. But as we often know, now are there exceptions to this? Yeah, occasionally. But by and large, if your starting quarterback gets injured, it doesn't really matter who your backup quarterback is. Occasionally, there's a Kurt Warner to a Trent Green. All right. So it has happened. But 99% of the time, if your starting quarterback goes down in the National Football League, it doesn't really matter who the backup quarterback is. Yeah, sometimes there's a Tom Brady when Drew Bledsoe goes down, but I've listed 2 examples over the last 3 decades. I would be struggling to think of many more. So as far as this offseason goes, it's probably what you got. Trevor Lawrence as your starter, Nick Mullins as your backup. I did see an interesting report out of Nashville. Will Levis is probably going to be traded. Now, I don't know if Tennessee would trade Will Levis, nor do I know if Jacksonville would have any desire to bring in Will Levis, but the report did indicate, or at least mention, and it's a good thought, who worked with Will Levis at the University of Kentucky? Liam Cohen. And obviously, Will Levis, coming off shoulder surgery, he wants to get out of Tennessee because Cam Ward's the guy there. Levis has, I think, 1 year left on his rookie deal. If he had his druthers to go somewhere, maybe he'd want to get reunited with the guy that worked with him in college. Now, again, I don't know if Will Levis is an upgrade over Nick Mullins. I have no idea, nor do I know if Tennessee would have any desire to trade Will Levis to the Jacksonville Jaguars. But that is at least something to think about as we move forward here. But I expect Trevor Lawrence to be the guy and Nick Mullins to be his backup. As far as the running back position, well, I mean, look, Travis Etienne, we've had that conversation and we'll continue to have that conversation for the next 3 weeks. He is one of the 2 biggest free agents out there, along with Devin Lloyd, and there is a lot of speculation about the future of Etienne. You know Bashal Tutin will be here. You know LaQuint Allen Jr. will be here. And the Jaguars also re-signed DJ Dallas earlier this week. DJ Dallas, to me, is a primarily special teams player. I don't know if he's guaranteed a spot on the 53. He's going to be brought in here to compete for a spot on the 53. LaQuint Allen Jr. in his rookie season did some nice things in blitz pickup, was given some opportunity to run the ball, showed a couple of flashes here and there, but by and large, I don't still think we know what the Jaguars have in LaQuint Allen Jr. I think you got a pretty good indication what they have in Bashal Tutin. I think they have something with Bashal Tutin. A 4th-round running back that scores 7 touchdowns in his rookie season, that's somebody you can work with. 5 rushing touchdowns. He also caught 2 touchdowns through the air in limited opportunities, mind you. Plus, he missed a couple of games due to injury. Now, LaQuint Allen Jr. is not the biggest guy. He's thick, but he's not the biggest guy. I don't know. I know Ballou talked about this during the 2-minute drill. If Etienne were to leave, are you okay with Bashal Tutin being your opening day starting running back? I don't necessarily know if I'm there as far as Bashal Tutin being your opening day starting running back, but I would be fine if Etienne left and Tutin is the starter, but you knew going in that it was going to be split between he and a LaQuint Allen Jr., or do they go out and do they bring in a veteran free agent? A Rico Dowdle, for example, a Javonte Williams from Dallas, Tyler Algiers, or a Rachaad White. Now, Rachaad White is the one that jumps right out to me, and I'll tell you why, and it's not rocket science. Rachaad White worked with Liam Cohen in Tampa in 2024. Rachaad White will not be expensive or as expensive as Travis Etienne will be, and Rachaad White is scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent come March the 9th when unrestricted free agency begins in the National Football League. And I'm going to pull up White's stats his 1 year with Cohen in Tampa. Now, again, Bucky Irving got all the love about what happened with Cohen down there. But Rachaad White ran for 613 yards and 3 touchdowns in 2024 with Liam Cohen as his offensive coordinator. That's not terrible. Certainly not great, but not terrible. And if you're going to lose Travis Etienne and you think Bashal Tutin can be one of your guys moving forward, fair enough. But do you need somebody else like a Rachaad White to feel better about that situation? I would tend to think you do. Again, Rachaad White in 2024, over 600 yards rushing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He did get supplanted by Bucky Irving as of late. But you look at his career, he's rushed for over 2,600 yards. He has 25 total touchdowns, both on the ground and through the air. And he catches the ball out of the backfield. And he catches the ball out of the backfield a lot. He has, 1,700 yards receiving in his National Football League career. Again, that's nothing to sneeze at. That's pretty good. That, to me, is the guy if you lose Etienne. Some people are in the Tyler Algiers camp. There are some people in the Rico Dowdle camp, although I think he's going to cost more than you think. Javonte Williams, I think, is going to want a pretty substantial deal. To me, a guy like Rachaad White would be the replacement if you lose Etienne. And let's finish with Etienne. If it were me, if I was James Gladstone and I was Liam Cohen and I was making the decision, Etienne would probably be the guy I would want to keep. I would say goodbye to Devin Lloyd, and I would do what I could to keep Travis Etienne. The question is, will you be able to do that? Etienne's 27 years old. He's probably got one more big contract, which is this year. How much will he get on the open market? Probably a substantial amount would be my guess. Maybe somewhere in the $10, $11 million a year range. I know Spot Track has him at, I think, $7 or $8 million a year. I would be surprised if he doesn't get north of 10. If he gets north of 10, he's probably not going to be with the Jaguars next year. But if you can work out a deal somehow, some way, to keep Travis Etienne, to put him back there again with Tutin, with LaQuinn Allen Jr., with obviously the playmakers of Myers and Washington and BTJ, Strange, along with Trevor Lawrence, if you run it back with the skill position, man, that's a position you would want to be in if it were me. If it were me, I would run it back with the guys I had at the end of last year. Etienne's the one guy that we don't know what his future is. We know Jacoby Myers. We know Parker Washington. We think we know Brian Thomas Jr., barring a trade, which I don't foresee happening. We know Brenton Strange are all back. You know Tutin and LaQuinn Allen Jr. are back. Etienne's the one guy of substance on that offense that you don't know his future. And if you can find a way to bring him back, that's the direction I would go. If ultimately he prices himself out of the Jaguar market, then I would go get a Rachaad White and have him be a poor man's Etienne, if you will, to team again with Bashal Tutin and with LaQuinn Allen Jr. Bottom line, I don't think the Jaguars are going to do very much at quarterback. As far as running back goes, if Etienne comes back, that's all they're going to do. If Etienne doesn't come back, I could see adding a free agent and possibly drafting a guy in the middle rounds of the 2026 draft. Speaking of the draft, the scouting combine up in Indianapolis next week should be very interesting. We know not only is on the field work going to happen, but agents are up there talking about free agency coming up, talking about deals getting done. It is really the beginning of the NFL offseason. An NFL draft guy that I have had on for years is Ryan Roberts of A to Z Sports.com. Ryan does a terrific job covering the National Football League draft. Let's talk Travis Hunter. Let's talk Base-Shell Tootin. And let's talk about this year's draft class and how it relates to what the Jaguars may do come late April. Ryan Roberts of A2ZSports.com joins me next on a Tuesday night here in Northeast Florida. We're glad you're with us. It's Hacker After Dark.
I bring charm, smarts, and toughness.
We already have that covered, but you can stay if you bring the snacks.
Helmets and Heels. Weekdays 2 to 4 on 1010XL.
Greenlaw Group is for the insured. If you think you have roof damage, call 904-302-7055 today, and they will schedule you a free roof inspection. Trust their law firm to help you fight your insurance when you need it. These storms can cause damage you may not even see yet. Call Greenlaw Group 302-7055. There's no cost to retain their law firm and no cost to have your roof inspected. They only get paid if you win. Greenlaw Group, for the insured.
Hey, Jacksonville DDH. Dreamfinders Danny Hicken here with the scoop from Dreamfinders Homes, your National Builder of the Year. We've got first-year interest rates as low as 2.99% in homes in 20-plus communities throughout Northeast Florida. If you're house hunting, make sure your first pick Dreamfinders Homes, the proud official home builder of the PGA Tour, the Florida Gators, and your Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit dfhsalesevent.com today and tell them Dreamfinders Danny sent you.
He speaks softly and carries a suitcase full of stories.
The quarterback whisperer.
Get an inside look at football's greatest position with Denny Thompson. Friday mornings on The Drill. Tuned up by George Moore Chevrolet on 1010XL.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to A to Z Savings, our biggest sale of the year.
Happy to be here. Can I get some rotors?
Would you like brake pads with that?
How much are the brake pads?
Free with Duralast rotors.
Free. Really?
Really? Free.
I also need some oil.
Would you like an oil filter with that?
Yeah. How much is that?
Free with the oil.
Free. Really?
Really? Free. It's part of A to Z Savings with hundreds of deals.
From A to free.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Ends March 9th. Restrictions apply.
I'm with Craig from Cycles of Jacksonville, and Triumph is a known name when it comes to beautiful rides on the road. What is the latest from Triumph?
Well, if you didn't come, we had an unleashing at the dealership last week. We saw 6 new models from Triumph, anything from 400 cc's to 1200 cc's. If you're looking at a bike, you got to look at the new Triumphs.
Experienced riders will love it.
And the inexperienced will love it. We've got something for everybody in the Triumph lineup. Great, great motorcycles.
Showroom waiting for you. Triumph. Find them at Cycles of Jacksonville on Atlantic near Regency.
Let's talk about the sound no homeowner wants to hear. Drip, drip, drip. Still dripping. That's exactly why Duck Duck Rooter created the Love Your Pipes promotion. Plumbing problems don't scare us. Not with years of experience and honest upfront pricing on our side. Right now, you can get free plumbing assessment on all fixtures with any paid plumbing service. It's the smart move to fix the issue now before it becomes bigger. So when you're stuck, call the Duck, 904-862-6769, duckduckrooter.com.
Hey, it's Travis from Cannons of Jacks. Thank you for trusting us for 55 years of custom welding fabrication and vehicle towing accessories. When you need a trailer hitch for the family car, a gooseneck for the company truck, or even RV towing options, call us at Cannons. We can do a bumper hitch, fifth wheel hitch, anything for safe, reliable towing. Come to Cannons of Jacks, where service is our #1 priority and we treat our customers as we like to be treated. Check us out online, cannonsofjacks.com.
And that concludes the Joe C. Jack of All Trades show. Tune in next week where I'll be installing my own French drain.
Joe, wake up, man.
Hey, John, I must have dozed off.
We finished those projects you started.
Whoa, my seamless gutters are actually seamless.
And they're connected into underground PVC drain lines.
And my sprinklers. Wow, look at that coverage.
Next time, just call me first, Joe.
I will, but I ain't singing that song.
Clearwater irrigation
and drainage too.
For the ultimate and unique gift ideas, visit CuneFlowers.com. RJ Saunders here, and no matter what the reason, Cune Flowers has it all. Sending flowers was never so easy, either online, on the phone, or in their super cool showroom. Cune Flowers converts the extra point every time.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. What's better than beer? Cold beer. Put your company logo on a custom koozie. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. The NFL Scouting Combine next week in Indianapolis. Of course, we are 3 weeks away from NFL free agency. And Travis Hunter seemingly was in the news a bunch this weekend. Let's talk about all of it with Ryan Roberts. He has been one of our draft guys for years. You can find his work at AtoZSports.com. And Ryan's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Ryan, how we doing, man?
I'm doing well, brother. I'm doing well. How are you?
Hey, Ryan, we're good. Thank you so much for the time. All right, the Travis Hunter stuff kind of blew up over the weekend. Cameron Wolf's report of the NFL Network that he is going to be a primarily defensive back and maybe sprinkling in at wide receiver. That's not really news to us, Ryan, here in Jacksonville. I mean, James Gladstone almost said as much at his postseason press conference. Why do you think that kind of blew up this past weekend the way it did?
Well, I think on the just general social media side, it's the fantasy football culture that we live in a little bit. Because I even saw some like fantasy guys put in like his last game. I guess he had like 9 catches for 100 yards. So like the fantasy community is a little bit, I think distraught over the news, to say the least. And I also think there's an interesting conversation of the trade up that initially happens in terms of valuing positions at a higher level. Because I do think that wide receiver is a position that maybe you think trading up for makes a little bit more sense than a corner. But like for me, and I know we've talked about this before he was drafted and after he was drafted and everything, and I really do think that this is always the best thing for Travis Hunter, because I think it's a whole lot easier to be a part-time wide receiver than a part-time cornerback. Like there's just so much conversation and communication and nuance that needs to go into being a part of a secondary just in general. Being a wide receiver, I could give you 10 to 15 plays a game and give you X amount of routes, and that could just be your package, if nothing else, right? So I think it makes the most sense. I think that it actually will maximize Travis Hunter. And also I think that not playing him too much at 2 different spots, I think will also help with his durability long term. Because we talked about it in college, he got banged up a little bit. And I know that he got hurt this past year, which, I don't think necessarily says that he's injury prone or anything to that degree. But I do think that it can potentially help him save his body and make him a much better just overall football player. So I think that it's the right decision. I think that made people just a little bit shocked because they did see some positives at wide receiver. But again, I just think it's a lot easier to be a part-time wide receiver than it is to be a part-time quarterback.
We obviously saw him more on offense than on defense in the 7 games that he played in last year. Ryan, you cover the draft as well as anybody and have been doing so for a long time. When you evaluated Travis Hunter last year, is there a player comp as a DB that you think Travis Hunter could become? I mean, is he Pat Surtain? Is that too lofty? What's your thought as him as a defensive back?
So I guess a slightly older school name, not like that old school, but Champ Bailey was always the guy that I wrote down, because if you remember Champ Bailey when he was at Georgia, he was also a guy that did play moonlight on the offensive side of the football, not as much as Travis Hunter, obviously, but I mean, he was that type of athlete, though. I mean, Champ was a legit like 4.38 to 4.4 flat type of athlete that could play wide receiver in the NFL if he chose to play wide receiver in the NFL. But his traits, his combination of ball skills and twitchiness, explosiveness, all those things together made him a rare player as a cornerback. So I do think that that is still what I see with Travis. Like, for me, every time I watch him at wide receiver, I'm like, he's a good wide receiver. Like, obviously, he could play wide receiver in the NFL. But as, like, I had a conversation with J.C. Horn a few years ago when he was coming out of South Carolina, where his dad, Joe, basically told him, like, you're playing corner on the college level at South Carolina because a lot of guys in the NFL look like you that play wide receiver. Not a lot of them look like you that play the cornerback position. So I think that it's the same thing with Travis. He's a more rare football player as a corner than he is a wide receiver. Doesn't mean he's not a good wide receiver, but I do think that the upside is substantially higher for him to play the cornerback position than at wide receiver.
Ryan Roberts, AtoZSports.com. I mean, if he's cornerback 1, how would he fit in with a Jarian Jones, a Jordan Lewis? The problem the Jaguars have, and it's one of the reasons why, Ryan, he's going to be a DB, is Greg Newsom's a free agent. Monteric Brown is a free agent. There's talk that both guys may be gone because the Jaguars have salary cap concerns moving into the offseason. How would a Travis Hunter, Jordan Lewis, Jarian Jones DB room look? Or do you think they would certainly need to add as well there this offseason?
I think maybe adding another outside corner might be a good strategy, but I don't think necessarily has to be a starter for you in 2026, because I really do think that, I mean, Jordan Lewis has played a million years in the slot at this point. I know he can kind of moonlight outside a little bit too, but like he is much better in the slot than he is on the outside. Travis Hunter is a pure outside corner. Like he's going to play on the outside. Jarian he was going back to his Florida State days. Like he was a very interesting player because he could play a little bit of inside and out. So I do think that flexibility gives you some upside in terms of, if Travis Hunter is one of your starting outside corners and Jarian Jones is your other starting outside corner, he could also mix and match a little bit where he can move into the slot at times when need be, if there's short motions or if there's some interesting things that you want to do from just a matchup perspective. If there's like a dynamite slot receiver on the other side of the offensively, I do think that he brings a lot of upside to that. So I think starting wise, I think that you can roll into 2026 with those three and feel pretty good about it. But I do think if you want to add maybe a guy in the mid to late rounds at outside corner that's got a little bit more length, a little bit more physicality to him as a pure outside corner, I think that could be very justified whether that happens in free agency or in the draft.
Complicates probably not the right word, but what could add to this is Caleb Ransaw, right? Ransaw never even played last year because he got hurt in the preseason. I was told by a lot of people, Ryan, that you might look at Ransaw as a safety, yet I've also heard from some that thought, nickel corner might be better for him. How would Ransaw factor into this?
Yeah, I like Ransaw both at Tulane and at Troy. I liked him more as a safety, potentially on the NFL level, than a nickel. Now, that's also saying that he played almost exclusively nickel in college, so he was always in the slot. But I really do think that he's much more of an aggressive, physical type of player that wants to get downhill. Like he wants to do a lot of those things, which actually got him in trouble a little bit at nickel at times because like he would kind of like bite on play action at times. He would kind of get downhill a little bit too quickly, try to get into his fit. So I do think safety is a very interesting spot for Ransaw. But again, like having guys that can actually play a couple different roles, you can mix and match skill sets so well. But I always did think that he was more of a safety than a nickel, just because I think that his physical downhill style, his tenaciousness, all those things together on top of his explosiveness, I think that plays better potentially as a safety that if you're going to rotate the single high at times, I think that he's the guy that comes down and kind of utilizes his physicality coming downhill.
That's what's going to be most interesting about the Jaguars is they don't have a first-round pick because of the Hunter trade. As you and I talked about a month ago, they do have 4 picks in the top 100. But you think back to last year, Hunter got 7 games. Ransaw didn't play at all. Milam played, I think, 5 games at the end of the year, but it was sporadic. And you never saw Jalen McLeod either. So not only do they have the 11 picks in the draft this year, Ryan, they got a lot of young guys from 25 they're going to be looking to prove themselves.
I mean, it almost feels like redshirt rules on the college level, right? Like you played a couple games, you still maintain your eligibility. Like that's what it feels like. It's not a bad thing. I mean, the fact that the Jaguars were as good as they were, considering that there were like a high volume of rookies that really did take that next step or were able to be huge, players for you in 2025. I think that actually gives you kind of optimism going into next year because with the draft picks you have now on top of maybe getting some more out of a couple of those younger guys, I think that's very interesting. But ultimately, I think the greatest thing that Liam Cohen did in year one was he established a floor for his team. Now, can some of these younger players, these second-year players, these rookies that are going to come in, can they be a part of that ceiling conversation? I think that's obviously the next step factor that kind of goes into things. But I really do think that it's not a bad thing. It's just because I know on the fan side, I'm sure some people are like, man, we didn't really get like a ton out of that rookie class for X, Y, and Z reason outside of, like Jarian Jones and a couple of those guys. But I actually think that you should be positive about that because the fact that you don't need a bunch of rookies to come in and play a lot tells me that you probably had a better roster than you thought you did. I mean, if you have a team that needs a lot of rookies to contribute year one, that probably means that your roster isn't great. So I think that actually is a positive to Jaguars, the fact that you kind of go into 2026 hoping that some second-year guys step up because they weren't needed necessarily to do so for X, Y, and Z reason in 2025.
Final moments, Ryan Roberts, A to Z Sports.com. All right, the scouting combine next week in Indianapolis. Big storylines going into the combine, Ryan. That's kind of your week of the year, certainly with what you do. What are we looking for next week in Indy?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a multi-layered process, and I love it every single year because it's the only event that has everybody there, from the media side, from the agent side, from the player side, to the evaluator and decision maker side of the NFL. So I really do think that a lot comes out of that week from an intel perspective. I think a big portion of it's going to be talking about the medicals for certain players, like a Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State, for instance. Like, what do his medicals ultimately look like? And there's going to be guys throughout the class, but I do think that he has the potential of going potentially as a top 6 pick to maybe more in the late teens, 20s, because depending on what his medicals do look like. So I think those medicals are the big thing. Outside of that, I'm interested to see just kind of what the demand is for some of the players, like an Arvell Reese out of Ohio State, like a David Bailey out of Texas Tech, like a Ruben Bain out of Miami, defensive end, because I really do think that it's an interesting year because you have one quarterback that you feel good about going in the first round right now in Fernando Mendoza. Ty Simpson from Alabama might end up being that guy. But in projecting draft day trades, which is always an interesting part of the offseason, usually the demand to trade up is working off of quarterback demands, right? So with a lack of quarterback demands, are there some players at some high-level positions like an edge or an offensive tackle that are going to force people to potentially trade up? So I do think just kind of some of the chatter coming out of that week that's going to be important is just how high in demand is a Ruben Bain to certain NFL teams? Is this a little bit of a he's the best in a bad class, or are there teams that are willing to go up and get a Ruben Bain, good enough to get up and go out and get a David Bailey? I think kind of that some mismatch of what guys are and their perceived value is potentially early in the class, I think is going to be a super interesting storyline to come out of that week.
You've done a lot of 3-round mocks at A2ZSports.com. The Jaguars have 4 picks in the top 3 rounds, 56, 81, 88, and 100. And the thought here is that it's going to be a big defensive draft for Jacksonville. Overall, the defensive class, Ryan, from D-line all the way back to secondary, in totality, how would you assess that?
I mean, I think the Jaguars are actually in a really good spot, even though they don't have a first-round pick, because I do think that a lot of the needs that they have at defensive tackle, potentially as a corner, a safety, like they have a lot of opportunity in this class because those are 3 of the deepest positions. I mean, there's a legitimate argument that safety might be the deepest position in this draft overall. So whether you are picking in the first round or you're picking in the 4th rounds, you could draft a safety that I think could come in and play meaningful minutes early on in their NFL career. So I think safety is extremely deep. I think a defensive tackle, especially if you need a nose tackle, like a true physical, got point of attack guy that can play some nose, play some shade, play some one. Like, I think that he could be a guy that could be extremely valuable in this class throughout. And you could get a nose tackle pretty much from round 1 to round 4 to 5, depending on how much you need him in a rotation. So I think nose tackle is valuable. I think safety is valuable. And again, if you want to put a mid-round pick or an earlier pick than that, even in a cornerback position, I think that has a lot of depth in this class as well. So I just think the needs for the Jaguars going into this draft are actually very applicable for what the strengths are in the 2026 group as well.
Scouting combine next week, free agency less than 3 weeks away, and the NFL draft, we're approaching 2 months, right? April 23rd, 24th, and 25th there in Pittsburgh. Ryan Roberts. Ryan, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville about A2ZSports.com and the coverage you have not only on the draft, but you're also one of the primary college football guys for A2Z Sports as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, we'll be boots on the ground in Indianapolis soon. We have 7 guys that are going to be credentialed for the event. So any of the intel, player breakdown stuff going into the draft throughout the rest of the next couple months, make sure to go check out A2Z Sports. If you're just a college football fan and you want to get through the long off season that is ahead of us, college football cover, I think we have 11 to 12 teams that we have full-time beat writers for. And obviously those are the Blue Bloods, the Notre Dames, Ohio States, Alabamas of the world. So if you're a college football fan, make sure to go over there as well. If you're an NFL fan, you want to get through the offseason as well, we have the NFL side to the site as well. So A2Z Sports for all your football needs, one-stop shop.
Ryan Roberts. Ryan, I know you're busy. I appreciate you taking time out. Safe travels to Indy, and we'll talk soon, pal.
Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate you.
This is Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
This is Leon Washington from Andrew Jackson High School, Florida State University, and the New York Jets.
You're listening to 1010XL.
1010XL.
92.5 FM.
Awaken 180 weight loss. Awaken 180 weight loss. Hacker here, and losing 100 pounds was absolutely phenomenal. Goes without saying. But being able to keep it off is great as well in the maintenance program, which is what I'm in right now. And I have people asking me all the time. In fact, I had a young lady stop me in the grocery store not that long ago. Her husband, her children all listen to 1010XL. And she asked me, she said, Hacker, how did you lose all that weight? Was there shots involved? Was there medication involved? How'd you do it? No, there's none of that with Awaken 180. It's natural, man. You have coaching. You have great coaching along the way. I met with my coach once a week. My coach, Kate, was with me every step of the way. But there's no injections. There's no shots. You listen to your coach. You order the delicious food that Awaken 180 provides, and you lose the weight. It's absolutely phenomenal. I tried a lot of weight loss programs, a lot of them. None of them worked until Awaken 180. Go to awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com, or call 844-346-1800 and do what I did. Get involved with Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Live streaming from the XL Digital Studios. Brightened by Harbor Dental Care, Jacksonville's first choice for dental emergencies.
Brian Wall here. Would you take your paycheck, go to the bank, cash it, and then simply throw it up in the air? I didn't think so. But in a way, over the years, that is exactly what you're doing if you have old or builder-grade windows in your home. Even if you have a brand new home, those windows are not the best windows you can have to save on your energy bills. Window World has sold millions of replacement windows to homeowners like you, and Window World's customer satisfaction is the highest in the business. Please check Window World out yourself and save on your new windows and on your energy bills. Compare with other companies and you'll see Window World is simply the best for less. It's up to you. You can call Window World and get a free estimate, get the best guarantee in the window replacement business, save money on your new windows, and save more on your energy bills. Call Window World today at 904-443-7001 or go online to windowworldneflorida.com. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here from the Blue Crab Crab House. February means the Mardi Gras menu returns to the Blue Crab Crab House. Gumbo, shrimp Orleans, blackened redfish, appetizers, dessert, and more. This includes, of course, their regular menu where you get crabs from the Alaskan waters, the Canadian waters, the Southern Georgia waters. It's only at the Blue Crab Crab House. Doors open at 4:30, San Jose, and of course, Julington Creek Road.
Could you imagine? There was a time you could just tell your kids to shut up, right to their face. No explanations, just shut up. How much easier would that have been? Why is the sun hot? I don't know. Why don't you shut up? That was uncalled for.
Tom Papa Live in the Grateful Bread Tour. Saturday, February 21st, on stage at Florida Theater. Tickets are on sale now at floridatheater.com.
Get your tickets for the Tom Coughlin J Fund Wine Tasting Gala. Join Super Bowl winning coach Tom Coughlin at VyStar Ballpark Thursday, March 5th and raise a glass to help local families tackling childhood cancer. Enjoy hundreds of wines from around the world and food from top local restaurants. Buy tickets and learn more at tcjfund.org/wine. tcjfund.org/wine.
Instant Keys is turning 25. A quarter century of saving the day when your keys mysteriously vanish.
Seriously, it was just in my pocket.
Or when that remote fob decides to quit working.
The dealership is such a hassle.
For 25 years, Instant Keys has been the go-to locksmith service for car keys, house keys, transponders, re-keys, and even high-tech smart locks. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For honest, professional locksmith service, use Instant Keys.
Get a healthy start in 2026. The Florida Department of Health in Duval County is here to help you get healthy and stay healthy all year long. Our dedicated team is committed to providing high-quality care and trusted public health services for our community. Our mission is simple: to protect, promote, and improve the health of you and your family. Learn more about our programs and services by visiting duval.floridahealth.gov.
Welcome to Key Buick GMC, proudly family-owned and operated since 1943. Come see why they're North Florida's new and pre-owned truck center, conveniently located on Southside and JTB, just minutes from the St. John's Town Center. At Key Buick GMC, every new vehicle comes with our lifetime powertrain warranty. Key Buick GMC, we are professional grade. Online at keybuickgmc.com. Lifetime powertrain warranty covers engine, transmission, drivetrain only. Exclusions apply. See dealer for details.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. Till 10 o'clock. Glad you're with us. Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM. Quickly, before we get into the National Football League, the Gators have pulled away. They are up 19 now on South Carolina. 6:51 to go in the ball game. Florida 68, South Carolina 49. The Gators are about to improve to 20-6 overall and go to 11-2 in the Southeastern Conference. All right, a lot of NFL stuff. And every day now, basically, heading into NFL free agency is going to have something. Like yesterday, it was Miami, right? When they released Bradley Chubb, they released Tyreek Hill, among others. Every day, there's going to be something. And today, it was also in the state of Florida. Mike Evans is going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. I mean, the guy has been an incredible wide receiver. Aaron, when I say Mike Evans, first ballot Hall of Famer?
In my book, yeah.
I think but you know, it's funny. I would agree with that. But yet you look at like Torrey Holt and Reggie Wayne. They can't get in right now.
They should all be in.
Is Mike Evans a better player than Torrey Holt or Reggie Wayne? I don't know. I think it's a debatable conversation, but nevertheless, Mike Evans one day will be in Canton, Ohio at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's played every year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He wants to continue playing. That came out earlier today that he is planning on suiting up for a 13th season in the National Football League in 2026. The question is, will that be in Tampa Bay? There is real question about that. Tampa Bay has brought him back time and time again when he was set to hit free agency. Maybe the Buccaneers' thought process has changed a little bit. It would be odd to see Mike Evans in another team's jersey. You know what it would almost be like? I mentioned Torrey Holt. It would be like Torrey Holt for the Jaguars. Now, you're an LA Rams fan. Were you a St. Louis Rams fan before that?
I was.
Okay. So Torrey Holt should have played all his years with the Rams. The fact that he came to Jacksonville, I think he had like 48 catches here. But it was just a shame that Torrey Holt ended with the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a shame if Mike Evans ended anywhere else but Tampa.
I agree. I mean, when you look at his body of work and everything that he's done, I mean, it's everything that, you know, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have looked for in a receiver, and he's been that. So, yeah, I mean, he's going to hit free. He may hit free agency. I mean, I hope he stays in Tampa. My dad's a big Buccaneers fan, so I know they'd love to have him back.
He is an incredible player. I personally hope he stays in Tampa, too. I had some Jaguar buddies text me today when this story came out. Jaguars, ? Again, there's one football, guys. And you already gave Jacoby Myers money, Parker Washington, Brenton Strange. You got Brian Thomas Jr. You'll have Travis Hunter sporadically, I guess, on offense. No, I don't foresee them bringing in a Mike Evans to be the third or fourth wide receiver, particularly after you just paid Jacoby Myers 3 years and $60 million. So I would be shocked if that happens. We'll ultimately see. I know the Buffalo Bills are rumored to have interest, other teams as well. Personally, I hope Evans returns to Tampa. There is also news coming out of Indianapolis today. The AFC South brethren to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I love this wording. Former Florida Gator quarterback Anthony Richardson, who was drafted in the top 5, of course, by the Indianapolis Colts. Look, Anthony Richardson, I was a fan of his, but, I mean, we're at the bust talk now with him, right? I mean, I know he's had injuries, but how can he be labeled anything other than a bust into his NFL career? I know it's still early, and we just saw a guy win a Super Bowl that was also a high draft pick that was labeled a bust, and Sam Darnold. I'm not saying Anthony Richardson can't turn it around, but certainly right now I would think the bust talk is warranted there when it comes to Anthony Richardson. I love this wording, though, Aaron. He is expected to request a trade at some point this offseason.
Oh, really?
So wait a minute. He's expected to request a trade? What does that even mean? And would Indianapolis trade him? I mean, you're not going to get anything back for him. He's not costing you very much right now because he is still on his rookie deal. And you don't know about Daniel Jones, right? Daniel Jones tore his Achilles right here in Jacksonville. Now, I guess the question for Indianapolis, do you re-sign Daniel Jones and hope the Achilles fully heals? Do you keep Anthony Richardson around to give him a shot? Or do you go out and do you get a Kirk Cousins? Do you go out and do you get a Kyler Murray? Do you go out and do you get a Mac Jones? I don't know if there's clarity on that for Indianapolis. Keep in mind, they don't have a first-round pick this year or next year. The New York Jets own the Colts 2026 first-rounder and 2027 first-rounder due to that trade for Sauce Gardner. So once again, Indianapolis finds themselves in an offseason with a quarterback quandary. Since Andrew Luck retired, you've had Matt Ryan, you've had Phillip Rivers, you've had Joe Flacco, you've had Anthony Richardson, you've had Daniel Jones, you had a sprinkling of Gardner Minshew in there. It has been wild, the Indianapolis Colts issues at quarterback, and it looks like it's going to continue with Anthony Richardson expected to request a trade and no clarity on exactly what's going to transpire with Daniel Jones. Really quick, too. I saw this, Bill Barnwell on ESPN.com. I like Bill Barnwell. I think he does a good job. Yesterday, he proposed 11 trades, realistic trades that he could see happening in the National Football League. The Jaguars were involved in 2 of them. Aaron, did you see this?
I did not.
All right, so he has Walker Little being traded to Cleveland for like a 5th-round pick. All right, whatever. I don't know if I would do that if I'm Jacksonville, but I could see that happening. You get a 5th-round pick, and Walker Little goes to Cleveland. The one that I saw that involved the Jaguars and the Bills, to me, was outrageous. It was Brian Thomas Jr. and a 5th-round pick to Buffalo for Keon Coleman and the Bills' first-round selection. And I saw that, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's ridiculous. But as I've marinated on it for the last 24 hours, this came out yesterday, I still think it's pretty ridiculous. But Keon Coleman, to me, has always been a guy that I think the talent is there. It's just a matter of getting the right coach in his head to guide him in the right direction. And we saw what Liam Cohen did with a lot of guys here in Jacksonville last year. Plus, you would get the Bills' first-rounder. But I just don't want to part ways with Brian Thomas Jr. I don't understand all these people thinking the Jaguars are going to trade BTJ. BTJ, the talent from what he did during 2024 is still there. And we saw him make some pretty good catches towards the end of 2025. Were there struggles last year? You bet. Did he underachieve? Absolutely. But I am not ready to part ways with Brian Thomas Jr. If you get BTJ right with Parker Washington and with Jacoby Myers and with Brenton Strange and a sprinkling in of Travis Hunter, that's where I want to be. So as much as Keon Coleman and a 1st for BTJ and a 5th, as much as I hated it yesterday, I don't hate it as much today, but I still just don't want to trade Brian Thomas Jr.
No way. I don't. It's like you said, the talent is there. I mean, the struggles were there the one year, but are we really ready to pass him along to the team that just beat us because that's only going to make Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills that much better getting him.
Yeah.
You don't think that he's going to get the most potential out of him?
I mean, you get a first-round pick in return, and obviously the Jaguars don't have a first-round pick, so I see that aspect of it. But again, whether it's the Bills or whomever, I don't want Jacksonville to trade Brian Thomas Jr. I want number 7 to be in a Jaguar uniform opening day of 2026. More NFL talk comes up later on in the 9 o'clock hour. Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country and the Duval Dive podcast. Also, Marcus Mosher of Fansided. He's also on the Locked On Podcast Network. In fact, a lot of Jaguar talk still to come here on a Tuesday night edition of Hacker After Dark.
Perfect passes.
Great pass.
Thrilling moments.
Did that just happen?
Winning plays.
Touchdown!
Your radio home for play-by-play. 1010 XL.
When your home or business deserves more than ordinary glass, you trust the experts. Capital Glass and Shower Doors has been elevating spaces for over 40 years with precision, craftsmanship, and clean, modern design. From sleek frameless shower enclosures to elegant glass railings, wine cabinets, and any custom glass that makes a statement, Capital Glass delivers unmatched quality, service, and attention to detail. Your vision, their expertise. Capital Glass and Shower Doors at capcoglass.com.
Baloo here for Smunez Vision. Why Smunez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Smunez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Smunez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Smunez is fellowship-trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SmunezVision.com today. Care you can see.
I used to dread going to the dentist. Every visit felt like a sales pitch with constant upselling, surprise fees on my bill, and I could never get in when I needed to. But Harbor Dental Care? Totally different. They saw me the next day, gave me honest pricing up front, and even set me up with a payment plan I could actually afford. No pressure, no surprise charges, just kind people who get it. If you want to experience dentistry the way it should be, book your appointment today at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Black History Month isn't just about the past, it's about the future. All month, 1010XL highlights the African-American voices shaping tomorrow's Jacksonville. Turned by Instant Keys, fast, professional, honest locksmith service.
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
I'm starting to realize being a homeowner isn't all upside, Jason.
I mean, it does give you a place to live.
Yeah, but now suddenly I need to know the names of all the people I need to look after my house.
Like who?
Like if my air conditioner breaks in the middle of the heat wave, I need to know who I call to fix it.
That's me. You know me.
But what if my water heater dies or my toilet backs up?
That would also be me. Bueller Air and Plumbing.
Okay, fine, but what about my duct cleaning and my water filtration and my sewer drain? Where am I going to find all those guys if something goes wrong? I'm just a guy with a house and a dream and...
This pair of sunglasses.
Whoa.
Bueller Air and Plumbing is the only name you need to know. Our club members even get 2 free visits a year, so you know we're there when you need us.
Well, that's cool.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
The Purple Heart isn't just a name, it represents service, discipline, and earning trust. At Purple Heart Pools, that standard shows up most in pool renovations. If your pool is outdated or worn down, now's the time to upgrade. So when summer arrives, your pool is ready. From new finishes and tile to decking, lighting, and full transformations, every upgrade is handled with precision and attention to detail. Purple Heart Pools. Pool renovations done right.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Greenlaw Group is for the insured.
If you think you have roof damage, call 904-302-7055 today, and they will schedule you a free roof inspection. Trust their law firm to help you fight your insurance when you need it. These storms can cause damage you may not even see yet. Call Greenlaw Group 302-7055. There's no cost to retain their law firm and no cost to have your roof inspected. They only get paid if you win. Greenlaw Group, for the insured.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focus, fueled, fearless, Farah. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. This is also the calm before the storm for me personally. So tomorrow, Aaron, I am a chaperone for 36, that's 36 5 and 6 year olds on a school field trip from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. It's going to be me. I actually think there's quite a few parents going, so it's not going to be too bad. I think it's me and about 9 or 10 other parents. But we got 36, 2 classes full of 5 and 6 year olds embarking on a field trip here in Jacksonville. And I am going to be responsible for looking out for them tomorrow for 4 hours.
Where are you going?
Diamond D Ranch. And I've been out there a few times. It's a pretty cool place. It's like pony rides and hay rides, and they got like a petting zoo and stuff. I mean, it's a cool place. But it's big. It's vast.
I'm not going to lie to you, Hack. That sounds awful.
Well, it's when you have a son or daughter and you do it, it's cool. Like the idea of it's cool. That's why you sign up for it. The actually doing it is considerably less cool. I've already done this at a corn maze earlier this year, and if that wasn't punishment enough, I've now decided to do it again. But I figure, hey, I get to go pet some goats and feed them some hay and, watch Little Hack go on a pony ride and stuff. So I'll have those lasting memories. But I might need an ice bath before I come in here tomorrow because Little Hack's tough enough to keep track of. The fact that it's going to be he and 35 of his closest friends at this place tomorrow is a very, very scary thought for me going into it.
I'll say a couple prayers for you.
Well, I appreciate that. I do. Now, you refereed football for like 12 hours on Saturday. Have you fully recovered?
Oh yeah, no, we're good. I've done it before. That's at least, there's, you get breaks in between games and stuff like that. It's not as bad as what you think, but it was a long day.
Yeah, it's 7-on-7, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, that's
15 and 18 year olds.
15 to 18, so it's all high school kids?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yep. And they're not as bad as the parents yelling at me about every call that I make being wrong.
7-on-7 has gotten so big. I remember 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't a big deal. I mean, it happened, but it wasn't as big. Now it's just required almost.
It's massive.
It's huge.
Massive.
I mean, it's all the guys that play in the fall are on 7-on-7 teams in the winter or early spring. No doubt about that. It is a win for the Florida Gators tonight. 76-62. It is a final as they have beaten South Carolina down in Gainesville. The Gators now 20-6 overall. Look at our guy Patrick Young on the SEC Network getting after it. Patrick was on here with us last night on Hacker After Dark. I'll have Patrick with me again on the Gator Bites podcast on Friday. Very happy to have Patrick Young as part of the 1010XL family, and he's on the SEC Network right now breaking down Florida's win over South Carolina. Nothing to write home about. South Carolina is probably the worst team in the SEC, but Florida wins the game by 14. It was a workman effort. It wasn't anything spectacular, but anytime you win a game by 14 points, it's hard to complain. You kind of file this one away pretty quick and you move on. Now, Florida's got another game on Saturday against another bad team. They play Ole Miss. If South Carolina is not the worst team in the SEC, Ole Miss is probably the worst team in the SEC. So, again, Florida has to come ready to play and not have any worry of a trap game or anything along those lines. But if they play to their capabilities, they should have a relatively easy time of it Saturday as well. And all these wins keep adding to the seed, man. They're at 12. They're ranked 12 right now. You start talking about a 2 seed, another couple of wins Again, just get to Tampa. And I think Florida is almost a lock for Tampa. If they're a top 4 seed in any of the regions, odds are the NCAA tournament will place them in Tampa for the round of 64 and the round of 32, which obviously means Florida will have a big home court advantage opening weekend of the NCAA tournament. We are at halftime here on Hacker After Dark. 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We will take you up till 10 o'clock as we do every night right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. Coming up next, back into the National Football League. Let's talk Jags. Let's talk big picture NFL topics heading into the offseason. Marcus Mosher of Fansided. He's also a host on the Locked On Podcast Network. He joins us next as we roll on till 10 o'clock. We're glad you're with us, Jacksonville. It's Hacker After Dark.
This is your captain speaking. Please return to your seats. We will be experiencing turbulence.
1010XL. Taking turbulence out of the air.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like payroll manager.
Hi, my last paycheck was all in Icelandic krona.
You are welcome.
Welcome?
Given the exchange rate between the dollar and the krona, you're technically a millionaire now. Don't spend it all in one place.
I can't really spend it anywhere.
There's always Iceland.
This is a job for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Help your loved one fall back in love with his or her home with a home improvement from the professionals at the Lifetime family.
That's right, Nick. Happy Valentine's Day to all the lovebirds out there. What says I love you more than adding additional space with a glass or screen enclosure that will enhance your home's livability, or brand new floors that dramatically improve the look and feel of your home?
That's right. New outdoor living space from Lifetime Enclosures and beautiful floors from Lifetime Flooring.
Come experience the Lifetime difference. Call or visit one of our showrooms today for our Valentine's Day specials throughout February.
Lifetime Enclosures. This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On February 17th, 1974, Richard Petty won his 5th Daytona 500, becoming the first driver to win back-to-back 500s.
Are you ready for another historic season at the bank? It's time to lock in your seats for 2026 by placing your deposit now. Next season will be played at Everbank Stadium, but seating capacity is limited due to in-bowl renovations, and spots are going fast. Don't miss out on your chance to see the season's biggest matchups and highlight real moments by placing your deposit at Jaguars.com/tickets or by calling 904-633-2000. Go Jags!
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
The best value for golf in Jacksonville remains Cimarron. Totally reestablished with new tee boxes, improved fairways and greens, also a brand new restaurant with indoor and outdoor settings, and live music. Join the Wild One loyalty program online at Cimarron Golf. When's the last time you played Cimarron? Cimarron Golf Club on 210, the Wild One.
Spring is almost here. Is your yard ready? Lucas Tree Service, a family-owned business with over 45 years of experience, is your local certified arborist for tree removal, trimming, and stump grinding for residential or commercial properties. Protect your home, boost your curb appeal, and get top-notch service from a Jacksonville company. Make sure your trees are healthy and safe before summer hits. Schedule your tree inspection today at lucastreeservice.com.
What Major League Baseball player was once walked intentionally with the bases loaded?
For over 20 years, Southern Oak Insurance has given Floridians a better alternative to their current homeowner's policy. See what you can get with Southern Oak. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Barry Bonds, who has the most career walks, was once walked intentionally with the bases loaded. Better one-run scoring than a whole lot more.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Hey, Googans, Hicken here, and I just want to once again give you this very simple reminder. Wear sunscreen. If you're outside a lot, bring the screen. Put some in your truck, on your boat, in your golf bag, whatever, wherever, just use it. Please. It's hot out there, and I just want you to protect yourself. I use it like it's cool because I think it is, but what's not cool, that's skin cancer. You don't want to deal with that. Go get yourself checked out. It could save your life. Go to beachesdermatology.com and schedule your appointment today. That's beachesdermatology.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Here's another call on the 1010XL hotline, driven by Key Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Boy, the NFL offseason's about to crank up. We got the scouting combine next week in Indianapolis. Of course, NFL free agency less than 3 weeks away, and there was certainly a lot of Travis Hunter news over this past weekend. Let's talk about all of it with Marcus Mosher of Fansided. He's also a host on the Locked On Podcast Network, and Marcus is always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Marcus, it's been a little while, man. How are you?
Doing well. Just the season's over. That was our first Sunday without football, and it sucked. And now I'm already back in draft mode, ready for free agency. The NFL never stops.
The NFL never stops. We mentioned Indianapolis next week for the Combine, inside of 3 weeks until free agency. And Travis Hunter reportedly will be a primarily defensive back here in Jacksonville, and people lost their minds over the weekend. Marcus, from a national point of view, why do you think that was such a big story?
I don't really understand it, because I thought this was always the most viable option, right? To get the most bang for your buck, it's just the easiest to have him play on defense full time and then design 6, 7, 8 plays a week to, either get him the ball on offense or get him part of the game plan. We've seen this happen before in the NFL with Deion Sanders and Champ Bailey and Patrick Peterson. It's just the most viable way to get him on the field. But I think it's because Jacksonville traded up from 5 to 2 to get him. And there's this expectation when you move up that much, you give up a first-round pick, he's got to be a receiver. This is the beauty of trading for Travis Hunter and drafting him, is you can move him around depending on the skill set of your team. And I think Jacksonville feels pretty good about where they're at wide receiver right now. The Jacoby Myers addition was a huge one for them. They have a bigger need at cornerback than wide receiver, and now you just plug and play Travis Hunter on the defensive side of the ball. Ryan, I don't get it. I just don't get the outrage here.
No, I don't either, because James Gladstone said as much at his postseason press conference. And when you know the Jaguars roster, and I think that's where part of the problem is, I think it was twofold. Number one, I think it was fantasy football guys, and you are one, by the way, so
Sure.
I'll ask you. I think it was fantasy football guys that were pissed that they used a high draft pick on Travis Hunter, and now he's going to be used as a DB and not so much as a wide receiver, so they're a little angry there. So they made the Jaguars out to have a bad trade in that department. But maybe more so than that, I think it was people that just don't know the roster. The fact that Newsome and Brown are free agents, you mentioned the wide receivers. I mean, it makes natural sense to put Hunter as a DB. And by the way, it's not that he's not going to play wide receiver at all. I do believe he will have 10 or 15 plays for him at wide receiver each week.
Yeah, and it's just, again, it's easier to get him involved in offense in a limited role than it is to do it the other way and get him involved in defense. We should also mention Jordan Lewis had a major injury that caused him to miss a big chunk of the season and the postseason. He's also getting up there in age a little bit, so I think it makes sense to keep Hunter on that side of the ball. But I think the first point was honestly the best one, because, again, I'm part of the fantasy community. I get it. If you play in fantasy leagues or dynasty leagues, Travis Hunter was an early round pick, and now you're upset because he might not be a guy that you can ever play in your fantasy leagues. And we know how much fantasy football drives NFL and NFL discussion. I think that's where a lot of the outrage is coming from, honestly.
Marcus Mosher of Fansided and the Locked On Podcast Network. Quickly, with that as a backdrop, Marcus, and not to get too much in the minutia here, as you understand, but for fantasy players in Jacksonville, to me, I mean, if you can play Hunter as a defensive back in IDP leagues and you still get the points for him as a wide receiver, I mean, that's a win-win, is it not?
Yeah, and I mean, I love playing in IDP leagues, and this is, I think, the dream of why you draft Travis Hunter high is because, yeah, if he can get you 3 or 4 tackles a game, he can catch 3 or 4 passes, maybe he gets a couple pass deflection in those games that he gets an interception or a touchdown, you're probably going to win your week because he gives you that big of an advantage. So It's just for the standard fantasy football players that don't have IDPs in their leagues. Travis Hunter might be a guy that you have to completely avoid next year. But from a real life perspective, I think this is what makes the most sense for Jacksonville as a franchise moving forward.
The Jaguars have two corners that are free agents, Greg Newsome, Monteric Brown. We, mentioned them earlier briefly. Does this Travis Hunter news affect either guy as far as their future here in Jacksonville, in your opinion?
Probably not. I think Greg Newsome, who they obviously acquired from Cleveland, I don't think he quite lived up to some of the hype that came after the trade. I think Jacksonville's going to evaluate both these guys, see what their market is. I think they would love to bring one of the two back just for depth reasons, but I think Jacksonville feels pretty good about their cornerback situation, again, providing that Hunter can return from the injury and look like the version of him that we saw in 2023 and 2024 at Colorado.
I want to ask you about Devin Lloyd and Travis Etienne moving forward, but quickly, an overall view on the Jags as far as Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, Tony Baselli, what they did in year number one. I mean, obviously, Marcus, you go from 4 wins to 13 wins. I'm not breaking any news there. That's a heck of a turnaround. But what did you make of what happened here in Jacksonville last season?
Yeah, it gave the hiring of Liam Cohen just gave juice to a franchise that desperately needed it, right? The Doug Peterson era yes, they had a playoff win, but everything just felt so stale by the end. They needed an influx of youth and new ideas. And now I think Jacksonville's one of the more fun teams in the AFC. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to come out of the AFC next year, but I think their arrow is trending way up. Now, they're going to have an important offseason because you just mentioned two of their biggest free agents. They don't have a first-round pick. What does the offense look like in 2026? We'll see, but everything points to this team being even better next year.
You cover the league nationally. Cohen was only interviewed here in Jacksonville. Looking back in retrospect, did just other teams miss on him? What was the deal there, in your opinion?
I honestly don't know because one of the teams I covered, the Dallas Cowboys, and they had no interest in Liam Cohen. Didn't even request an interview. Now, was that because they were set on their guy in Brian Schottenheimer? Maybe, but I do wonder if the thought with Liam Cohen is, hey, he's bounced around the league a little bit. He was in college at Kentucky. He's pretty green. Maybe he's not ready for a head coaching job. But we saw none of that mattered, right? He got to the sidelines. He got the headset, and he was one of the best coaches in the NFL this year. I thought he did a fantastic job of building a staff. But I think it's just like anything. Unfortunately, Jacksonville just doesn't get the national attention that they deserve. And a lot of times these things go under the radar. But in hindsight, yeah, I think 4 or 5 of these teams that had openings probably regret at least not bringing in Liam Cohen for an interview because he certainly deserved it.
Couple more from Marcus Mosher of Fansided. He's also a host on the Locked On Podcast Network. Marcus, when it comes to the Jaguars and free agency, there's 2 big names, Devin Lloyd and Travis Etienne. First and foremost, the NFL's got to do something about the linebacker franchise tag, right? I mean, the fact that Devin Lloyd would get Micah Parsons money if he was franchised, why is the NFL not distinguished the difference between inside and edge?
Yeah, this has been a problem for a while now. This is where teams struggle with drafting linebackers in round 1 is because you're right. They're getting lumped in with Micah Parsons and TJ Watt. And now these guys are almost impossible to keep on their 5th-year options, and they're impossible at franchise tag. This seems like something that's got to get figured out during the next CBA, but it's a huge problem. But for Devin Lloyd, I think he's going to benefit really well because now he's going to hit free agency. I doubt Jacksonville gives him the franchise tag. And now James Gladstone's going to have a really interesting decision. Who does he prioritize? Is it Devin Lloyd, who was arguably the best defensive player on that team last year, or is it Travis Etienne, who had probably his best season in the NFL with Liam Cohen? My guess is, Ryan, that they're going to let Etienne at least hit the market. Devin Lloyd's going to be the guy that they try to bring back because I just think it's harder to find quality linebackers. And they have somebody in place in Bashal Tutin who at least showed some flashes this year.
I like that opinion because that's a different opinion from a lot of people that I've talked to. So, again, you would prioritize Lloyd over Etienne if it were you.
Well, it's easier to find quality running backs where you look around the league. I mean, you can make a case that Devin Lloyd is the most valuable linebacker in the NFL right now, given his skill set and his age. I would be perfectly fine paying him upwards of $20 million a year because there's just not many guys that can play the run and cover and that have his kind of athleticism. They're really hard to find.
Marcus, as we begin to wrap up, let's go to Travis Etienne. Now, they got Bashal Tutin, LaQuint Allen Jr. There's also, like, Rachaad White's a perfect example. A guy that did really well with Liam Cohen in Tampa would probably come at a cheaper mark than Travis Etienne. If Etienne does indeed walk, could you see a situation where they bring in a guy like Rachaad White to team with Allen and Bashal Tutin?
Yeah, I think Jacksonville is going to want to keep Travis Etienne because he fits the offense really well. However, if they were to lose him, there are running backs on the open market that I think can come in here and do a good job. Let's go through a couple names. You mentioned Rachaad White. Obviously, he has some familiarity in that offense. You could cite someone like Javonte Williams, who had a huge year with the Cowboys. He might not be retained by the team. Rico Dowdle was a borderline Pro Bowl running back for Carolina. If Jacksonville decides they don't want to pay Etienne $10, $11, $12 million a year, I think they can find a suitable and adequate replacement at a fraction of the cost.
And look, I mean, Etienne, with his relationship with Trevor Lawrence, obviously, from going back to college, the fact that he was so good in Cohen's offense, but you got to take age into consideration there, too. He just turned 27. Odds are this will be his last big contract. He knows that. His agent knows that. What kind of market will Etienne have if he gets to the market on March 9th?
Unfortunately, there's a lot of teams that still need running back help, and there are a bunch of teams that have cap space, so I could see him getting $12, $13 million a year. But you mentioned it. It's the age, right? 27 is kind of that last year of prime production. And there's a lot of teams with younger GMs that just aren't going to pay that much money because, again, you can get a Javonte Williams for $4 million in free agency and get similar production. I think Etienne's going to have a somewhat big market. But I think in the end, I think Gladstone's going to find a way to bring back both of these guys because this is a roster that's ready to win now and a team that's ready to win now. Bring these guys back so you don't have to fill more holes in the draft and in free agency.
Man, if James Gladstone's able to figure that out and bring back both guys, that would be absolutely incredible. All right, Marcus, tell the Jaguar fans here in Jacksonville about Fansided, also the Locked On Podcast Network, where they can find your work moving forward.
Yeah, all of my scouting reports for the 2026 NFL Draft over on Fansided. Host the Locked On Cowboys podcast over at the Locked On Podcast Network, as well as Locked On Dynasty Football, which we talk about Travis Hunter all the time. So go ahead and check that out.
Marcus Mosher. Marcus, I know you're busy, man. Thank you for the time. Let's circle back right around the time free agency gets underway. We'll see where the dust has settled when it comes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I appreciate you as always, pal.
You got it, buddy.
Now, another classic moment in Jags history.
Patterson's kick is up. The field goal is good! The Jaguars have won it! They have come back from 27-0!
1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
How good is that?
Welcome to Key Buick GMC, proudly family-owned and operated since 1943. Come see why they're North Florida's new and pre-owned truck center, conveniently located on Southside and JTB, just minutes from the St. John's Town Center. At Key Buick GMC, every new vehicle comes with our lifetime powertrain warranty. Key Buick GMC, we are professional grade. Online at keybuickgmc.com. Lifetime powertrain warranty covers engine, transmission, drivetrain only. Exclusions apply. See dealer for details.
Tara Loggeman here for Local Fair Jacks. Fresh, local produce, eggs, and meat delivered right to your door. It's where Jeff and I shop because we know exactly where our food is coming from. There's no scary recalls, just trusted local farmers. Visit localfairjacks.com.
Don't miss the Bari Breakdown with Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays around 1:35 for the latest in sports injuries from all the big names in the game. Who's MIA, who's coming back? Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime, Wednesdays at 1:35 on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Are high-interest credit cards and other loans sucking the life out of your finances? It's time to say no more.
Let Loan Pronto tap the equity on your home and get the cash you need now so you can pay it all off. Hey, it's Prosser here. Corey and Jack called Loan Pronto in a matter of days. They had $160,000. They kept their 3% mortgage intact, didn't even need an appraisal, and with all that cash, they wiped out all their credit cards and 2 car loans, saving $2,000 a month. You can do it too. LoanPronto.com, the rapid equity loan program, can get you $100,000, $200,000, even $500,000 in cash. Chloe and Ethan just did it. Consolidated all their high-interest debt into one super low monthly payment, giving them an extra $1,000 a month. Imagine. Pay off all the credit cards, slash your monthly payments, breathe easier. Get your life back. Interest rates are at 3-year lows. Call Loan Pronto today, 904-999-1500. That's 904-999-1500, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Checkmate. I'm Brendan Cecilia, founder of Checkmate Coatings.
And I'm Chester, company mascot at your service.
There are 2 important steps to installing the perfect garage floor. The 2-stage coating application, sure, but nothing is more important than preparing the floor. Our team uses diamond grinding machines to grind your floors to a smooth, level finish. Only then can we...
Hold on! You grind garage floors with perfectly lovely diamonds?
No, Chester. We grind floors to perfection using the very best ugly diamonds. Too ugly for jewelry, but perfect for the grinding pads we use to prep the surface.
Perfect preparation and application. Now that's a perfect marriage.
Ugly diamonds?
Check. Perfect preparation?
Check. Smooth, gorgeous gleaming floors that really catch your eye? Checkmate!
Transforming your floors, making them great. Checkmate.
Visit checkmatecoatings.com.
This is the home of the Florida Gators. Get your Gators hoops on 1010XL. Brought to you by the personal injury attorneys of Farah and Farah, Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville, and Renewal by Anderson, custom windows and doors.
Hacker here. We're rolling towards March, and for most people, that just means better weather and more golf. For me, 2 years ago, this time of year was a life changer. Honestly, it felt like a lifesaver. That's when I started Awaken 180, and in 1 month, I was down 35 pounds. 2 months, 50 pounds. And no, it wasn't magic. It wasn't some miracle shot. I tried the meds. I tried the cutting carbs. I tried convincing myself I was fine. None of it stuck. Awaken 180 wasn't a trick. It was a solution, a real plan, a coach who didn't let me drift, and the weight just melted off. That's the only way I can describe it. And here's the best part that matters. It stayed off. I'm not bracing for it to come back. I've kept my 122 pounds off for well over a year, and it stayed gone. Have 35 to lose? Cakewalk. 50? Simple. If March for you is just another month, fine, but it could be your turning point. It was mine. Awaken. 180weightloss.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Travis Holmes, Big Cat Country, and the Duval Dive podcast joins us in less than 15 minutes here on a Tuesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. You know, the NFL offseason, the key dates to know really started today. Now, we had no movement on this front, but effective today through, I believe, March the 3rd, so the next 2 weeks, you can place the franchise tag on free agents to be. And if you place the franchise tag on free agents to be, well, odds are then you want to keep them on your roster, because very, very few players will sign with other teams or certainly ever play for other teams if they are franchised by their current team. How many guys will get the franchise tag? We've seen the franchise tag used less and less and less in the recent years. I remember back in the day here in Jacksonville, Donovan Darius, I believe is who it was. He got franchised like 3 years in a row. It was crazy. And I think the NFL actually did something about that, because that's really not fair. Franchise tags are great, but players will tell you they hate the franchise tag. Yeah, I mean, they get a lot of money for 1 year, but they have no security. I mean, what if in that 1 year they get injured? They don't have a 4 or 5 year guaranteed deal. They don't get a large signing bonus. They don't get guaranteed money by signing the franchise tag, or at least big guaranteed money. Most players you talk to, in fact, every one of the former players I've ever talked to, much rather have a 5 or 6 year contract than be on the franchise tag. Guys that might get franchised in the coming weeks, again, from now up until March 3rd, you got George Pickens in Dallas, potentially Breece Hall with the New York Jets. There's at least rumblings out of New York that may happen. It appears Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl most valuable player, may not be franchised in Seattle. Aaron, this would be a ESPN, I guess, stats and info question, but when was the last time the most valuable player of the Super Bowl was on a different team the following year?
That's a great question.
I mean, I remember Larry Brown, right, for the Cowboys. Leon is not a big fan of that guy. That was the Super Bowl he was in. He was the MVP of the Super Bowl, and I believe he signed with the Raiders the following year, but that's going back 30 years. He might be the last one. I can't imagine there's been that many Super Bowl MVPs that found themselves on another team the following year. Could that happen with Kenneth Walker? I would tend to doubt it. I would still think at the end of the day, Kenneth Walker will find his way back to Seattle. But I think there's more questions about that now than maybe there was at that Super Bowl parade last week. I think there's more doubt about that now than maybe there was a week ago. We'll see. But you got, like I said, Pickens in Dallas, Breece Hall in New York. Does Indianapolis franchise Daniel Jones? I guess they could. I don't expect them to. What do they do with Daniel Jones is a better question. Or Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce might be the more interesting of those quandaries, because Alec Pierce is a guy that's going to get big-time money if he hits the market. But is Alec Pierce worth top 5 wide receiver money to remain in Indianapolis? Probably not. Also considering you don't know who's going to be the quarterback throwing him the football. But Aaron, the more people you talk to around the Colts, and we got to go quick here, either Michael Pittman Jr. or Alec Pierce, one of those guys is probably gone. They probably can't afford to keep both of them heading into 2026. If it's an either-or situation, if you're Indy, who do you keep, Pierce or Pittman Jr.?
I would think Pittman.
He's a little older, and he's not the threat down the field that Pierce is. I would tend to agree with you, but you talk to James Boyd of The Athletic. He's our guy up in Indianapolis. I saw a report he had earlier today that there's a real conversation up there that Pittman may be a cap casualty heading into free agency. He's got a big cap figure, and Indianapolis doesn't exactly have a lot of cap money.
Just to answer your question, Google went on Google here. No Super Bowl MVP in the modern era has left their team the following season.
So Larry Brown must have been 2 seasons removed, because I know Brown ended up with the Raiders. Yeah, so Kenneth Walker could potentially make history if he ends up on another team after winning an MVP in the Super Bowl there with the Seattle Seahawks. Again, big news of the night locally. The Florida Gators are winners on the college hardwood, a 76-62 win over South Carolina. The Gators now 20-6 overall. They improved to 11-2 in the SEC and remain in first place all by themselves. Coming up next, back into the Jacksonville Jaguars, my buddy Travis Holmes, who does a terrific job for Big Cat Country. He's also one of the hosts of the Duval Dive podcast. Let's talk Travis Hunter, and let's talk Jaguar offseason outlook. Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country joins me next on a Tuesday night here in Northeast Florida. It's Hacker After Dark.
It's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's finally here. Are you ready for it? Yeah, we ready for it. Are you ready for it? Yeah, we ready for it. Then get ready for it.
1010XL. Streaming live from the XL Digital Studios. Polished by Harbor Dental Care, the locally owned smile restoration experts.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here from the Blue Crab Crab House. February means the Mardi Gras menu returns to the Blue Crab Crab House. Gumbo, shrimp Orleans, blackened redfish, appetizers, dessert, and more. This includes, of course, their regular menu where you get crabs from the Alaskan waters, the Canadian waters, the southern Georgia waters. It's only at the Blue Crab Crab House. Doors open at 4:30, San Jose, and of course, Julington Creek Road.
This is Garrett Scantlin, and I highly recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for any orthopedic issue you have. I'm back to my Olympic training, and I feel great.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple years ago, went smooth as silk, was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick. We're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost are the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by May 14th.
I want total control of my team. The off-season is the time to check under the hood and add replacement parts.
I want to be able to recruit anybody that I want. No interference.
Follow the road to the regular season with AA Automotive and 1010XL.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentists and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental with light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, located in Bartram Park.
Bueller.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
I'm starting to realize being a homeowner isn't all upside, Jason.
I mean, it does give you a place to live.
Yeah, but now suddenly I need to know the names of all the people I need to look after my house.
Like who?
Like if my air conditioner breaks in the middle of the heat wave, I need to know who I call to fix it.
That's me. You know me.
But what if my water heater dies or my toilet backs up?
That would also be me. Bueller Air and Plumbing.
Okay, fine, but what about my duct cleaning and my water filtration and my sewer drain? Where am I going to find all those guys if something goes wrong? I'm just a guy with a house and a dream and...
This pair of sunglasses.
Whoa.
Bueller Air and Plumbing is the only name you need to know. Our club members even get 2 free visits a year, so you know we're there when you need us.
Well, that's cool.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Attention Northeast Florida golfers. Save hundreds on golf at premier local courses and support youth development. The First Tee of North Florida Tour Card is your key to big savings and making a difference. For just $99, you'll unlock discounted golf and offers at top courses and local businesses all year long. Plus, every tour card purchase helps fund programs that build character, confidence, and life skills for kids in our community. Grab your tour card today at tourcard.org.
The month for love is a perfect time to get your home organized. Hey, this is Lauren Brooks, and I love our closets from Closets by Design. They create custom storage systems designed around how you actually live, from closets and garages to entertainment centers, laundry rooms, and storage for any space and budget. With their brand new showroom now open, they have extended the offer of 40% off plus an extra 15% off, free installation, and 18-month special financing. Schedule your free consultation. Call 904-878-9393 or visit closetsbydesign.com.
Picken here. See clearly with the Eye Associates and trusted optometrist Zachary Boskool and Alice LaFlamme. From comprehensive eye exams, dry eye care, glaucoma management, diabetic eye care, and more, Dr. Boskool and Dr. LaFlamme are dedicated to protecting your vision. Immediate availability at all 5 Jacksonville locations. Schedule today with Dr. Boskool and Dr. LaFlamme by calling the Eye Associates, formerly Bowden Eye Associates, Schneider Eye and Wellness Center, and Janet Betchkel, MD at 296-0098.
For nearly 60 years, Green Acres Sporting Goods at the corner of Normandy and Hammond Boulevard has been Jacksonville's trusted name for the outdoors. From archery to hunting and fishing and more, their expert staff helps you get it right the first time. Right now, stop in and try the newest bows by Hoyt and Matthews and get dialed in before spring. Gear up today at greenacresporting.com.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. When pests invade your home or business, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, they'll show up for you and eliminate pests quicker, just like they did at my house, because they care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a pest problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's Terminix.com. That's right, Terminix it.
Instant Keys is turning 25. A quarter century of saving the day when your keys mysteriously vanish.
Seriously, it was just in my pocket.
Or when that remote fob decides to quit working.
The dealership is such a hassle.
For 25 years, Instant Keys has been the go-to locksmith service for car keys, house keys, transponders, re-keys, and even high-tech smart locks. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you for honest, professional locksmith service. Use Instant Keys.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Now, the Monahan's golden moment. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, your local family jewelers.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The NFL Scouting Combine up in Indianapolis is next week. We are now inside of 3 weeks away from NFL free agency. And boy, the Travis Hunter news over the weekend got a lot of reaction, both locally and nationally. Let's talk about all of it with Travis Holmes. You read his work at Big Cat Country. You also see him on the Duval Dive podcast. And Travis is always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. Travis, it's been a little while, man. How are you?
Oh man, I am doing great. It's always a fun time whenever we can get a chance to just catch up and chop it up. So thank you for having me on.
Hey, I always appreciate you, man. And you and I spoke right after the season ended. It's been over a month now, 5+ weeks. Travis, since the game is now, almost 5 weeks, over 5 weeks removed, you write for the biggest fan website out there covering the Jacksonville Jaguars. Has the fan base moved on? Have they flushed it and now full steam ahead to the offseason, in your opinion?
I think so. And this has been also like one of the biggest off seasons that I can imagine, like recently in Jacksonville Jaguars history, while also being one of the most interesting, because to that point, I think the fan base has, for the most part, moved on, while also saying this might have been one of the quickest, refreshes I can recall in the Jacksonville Jaguars, recent history, where I think the fan base maybe immediately moved on, after the game was over. It was one of those situations where I think the fan base kind of knew that they may have fumbled the situation as far as winning that Buffalo Bills game. I think we can now look back and say, no, yeah, we definitely should have won that, and more likely than not been a true competitor in that Super Bowl conversation. But also, oh yeah, but we can see the forest through the trees pretty immediately and say 13 wins after 4 wins last season. Got the right quarterback, you got the right head coach. The sun is shining. I think, and pretty much from that point on, folks were already thinking about free agency, already thinking about the draft, and it didn't seem like woe is me.
I want to get to the Travis Hunter stuff that happened over the weekend, but quickly. 2017, Doug Marone's first year as the permanent head coach. Travis, they win the division, they go to the playoffs. 2022, Doug Peterson's first year as a head coach. They win the division, they go to the playoffs. And now here we are with Liam Cohen, same thing. Win the division, go to the playoffs. Outside of Urban Meyer, this is not rare air for Jaguar fans. Now, the bottom fell out in 2018. The bottom fell out in 2023. Why will this year in 2026 be different, in your opinion?
From my perspective, I actually think just simply because you have the right coach. And I am of an opinion that I can fully understand if someone does not meet me there, that's okay. We all have the right to have our own opinions as long as it's supported by reasonable evidence. But I thought Liam Cohen was the right coach beforehand. I said as such on BigCatCountry.com. I said as such on the Duval Dive podcast when we did our head coach profiles for every head coach the Jaguars were interviewing last offseason. So I stand on this to say I thought his offensive mind was going to be great for this Jacksonville Jaguars fan base. You and I talked about the fact that the Jaguars had not had a modern NFL offensive coach on the offensive side probably since Tom Coughlin days before that hire. and they finally get one, and it helps out tremendously. Then you go to the point where, oh man, they hit on the defensive coordinator pick. Anthony Campanelli is that guy. Oh, this is different. And that from that point, we now have both sides of the ball where they're not just good, but they're dominant on different occasions where the other one can lift up the other side of the ball, whether it's the offense being top of the league at one point or the defense being top of the league in other points. That makes this different for me because they don't seem to be a team where it's like, if you figure out who they are, this is a wrap. You can't tell me today who specifically this Jacksonville Jaguars team is going to be from a 5-week time frame, because they switched it up 4 different times in this 2025 season. And that lets me feel like, all right, this is going to work out because they're not scared to try new things. They're not scared to self-evaluate. And that's a great situation for anyone that's in this fan base.
Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country and the Duval Dive podcast. All right, Travis, obviously over this past weekend, got pretty testy locally, regionally, and even nationally when the Cameron Wolf NFL Network report came out that Travis Hunter likely to be used as primarily a defensive back and maybe a sprinkling in at wide receiver. I can understand why fantasy football guys were upset by that. I got into it with a couple of them. Not that I don't like fantasy football guys. I have many on my show, but I thought it was somewhat over the top, their analysis of the Travis Hunter situation. From your vantage point, what did you make of all of it?
And I made of it is that, where's the news? That was the first point. It was like, wait, what happened? What new news happened? Is this not the same thing James Gladstone told us on January 14th? This feels like we've known this for about 30, 35, 32 days, something along those lines. When James Gladstone said it to the fan base in front of cameras, hey, Travis Hunter, in my paraphrase, is basically going to play more on the defensive side of the ball. If you take a cursory look at the free agents that we have outgoing, it makes total sense that that's going to be the route. Again, that's just my words of the packaging of what was said by James Gladstone back in January. If you need to see the exact quote, head over to Big Cat Country. I wrote a full article on it this week. Also, the Duval Dive, we had an hour-long podcast breaking down pretty much all the minutia on it. So at the end of the day, this is not news for me as far as quote-unquote new news that broke. It is simply a repackaging of what was already said. Now, if we want to break down the specifics of it, all right, cool. But James Gladstone tried on multiple occasions throughout this season to tell folks that Travis Hunter was going to be primarily deployed as a wide receiver as far as his learning curve, as far as how they were going to deploy his learning curve, because he had better skill set just coming into the league as a defensive back. He has multiple quotes throughout the season. Some of them are a quote in my Big Cat Country article where he talks about that. They're just using him sort of like they love their glue guys. They love a Jacoby Myers who can do a lot of things. They love the Cole Van Lannon and Patrick McCarry who can do a lot of things. They love having the ability to have an elite talent like Travis Hunter, who they can deploy this week 70% on offense, or this week 40% on defense, or whatever the number is, depending on matchups, depending on team needs, depending on the stressors of their opponents or the issues on their own side of the balls. So for me, this is not new news, and the snap rates throughout the season you can see it clearly if you're looking. The problem is the national media and the fantasy football guys aren't looking, which is not shocking because we've known this all season in 18 million different ways. They're not looking, so they're making news when none exists.
Fantasy guys are upset they used a high draft pick on Travis Hunter, and now he's going to be a defensive back, so they're trying to make Jacksonville look bad. That's my take on it. Quickly, with Travis Hunter, again, Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country. All right, so Monteric Brown and Greg Newsome are free agents in less than 3 weeks. The Travis Hunter news, what does that mean for Newsome and Brown moving forward?
Well, for me, it means the same thing that we already kind of knew. And again, that doesn't mean anything's set in stone. But if we're talking as of today, what the plan is based on the current shape of the roster, you have a guy, Monteric Brown, who didn't play the first few games of the season. And even when he got back from injury, never made it past 45% snap rate until Tyson Campbell was traded. Well, yeah, you're losing a guy who's primarily your outside corner who plays 67% of the snaps in Monteric Brown. You're losing the other guy who you got back in that Tyson Campbell trade, who was at around 40% of the snaps, and you don't really have a bona fide outside corner option outside of Travis Hunter, that makes it very clear that, all right, cool, that Travis Hunter is going to need to slide into that spot. All right, that's not a wild take. That's just regular roster construction. That's a very basic, obviously obvious move from that perspective. What it does mean is that those guys are likely not going to be back, but I also felt that that was the case the entire offseason. It's not to say that they couldn't sign Greg Newsome back for maybe a prove-it deal. Maybe he may want to stay in Jacksonville, knowing the scheme, knowing the coaching staff, knowing what they're building here. But I also thought that Montaric Brown, I mean, you guys talked to the Spot Track guy a few weeks ago where he was talking about, a potential a landing point for Montaric Brown being $15 million. Well, that felt like immediately, yeah, Montaric probably won't be back at that time. And like, I hope he gets that sort of money on the open market for him and his family and his future's sake. But also, don't think Jacksonville will be paying it. I could say that, clearly. So I just think that means that those guys may not be here in 2026, and that's okay. But obviously, that then means Travis Hunter needs to be playing a little more on that side of the ball, unless they get a wealth of defensive back help in either free agency or the draft, and then maybe the plan changes again.
I certainly want to end with Lloyd and ETN, so let's go quick here. If they lose Brown and Newsome, that means Travis Hunter, Jordan Lewis, Jarian Jones, DB becomes a priority, right, in free agency or the draft?
Maybe. I mean, yeah, like it's between the draft, you got to get at minimum one guy as far as outside cornerback is concerned. I mean, I think that's very clear. But then overall, I don't think it necessarily has to be where any other defensive backs have to happen. You have options as far as the backfield is concerned. You got, the safety room feels pretty reasonably set, unless you want to get like a mid-round to late-round developmental guy, just for whatever happens with the Antonio Johnson situation, whether or not that he continues that uptick in play or whether or not something like stabilizes or falls off there. And as far as cornerback is concerned, again, you need another outside cornerback option just to make sure you feel good about it, and also even any injury considerations. And then maybe even depending on how those guys feels about the current crop of linebackers, you may want to do something as far as replacing that Devin Lloyd piece. And there are so many great linebackers in this draft class, so this seems like the prime opportunity to do so. If you are truly draft and develop, this feels like a blatant, a blatant sign in the front of the store that's flashing, saying, "Hey, draft us in this draft class." So hopefully they read the signs and they find the right guy that's their target.
Final moments, Travis Holmes, Big Cat Country, and the Duval Dive podcast. You're a defensive back guy. Give me 30 seconds. How does Ransaw fit into this? I've talked to people that believe he might be more of a nickel than a safety. Could that be a thought?
I mean, I think that was his skill set coming out when, he's playing at Tulane, playing more of that sphere role where on a week by week basis, they're just putting him wherever he's needed to like erase the other team's primary strength. So sometimes it's at nickel, sometimes it's at free. It just depends on what was necessary for the team. Again, a team that loves versatility and having options. Well, the Jacksonville Jaguars probably don't need that. Like the Jacksonville Jaguars have a Jordan Lewis, they have a Jarian Jones, and yes, they also have a Caleb Bransall. So they're going to give him options to play wherever he's needed. Like maybe sort of like a Buka Baker. Did I say Buka Baker?
Yeah, Buda Baker for Arizona.
Buda Baker. Yeah. So like, where they just move him around everywhere, and something like that. And that's not a bad thing. That's a great thing to have those options. But also on a week by week basis, depending on the strength of the other opponent. Strong tight end, maybe strong slot receiver who moves around. You have various options, and you're never feeling like your secondary is a deficiency. I think that's a great situation for him, especially starting out. And now they have again a wealth of options with also having Antonio Johnson, pop up on the scene, and Eric Murray still in the house. Good situation. We'll
certainly have you back on right about the time free agency. Let's begin with Devin Lloyd. Let's go 60 seconds because I want to end with ETN. It would be shocking, right? I mean, if he's really a $20 million a year guy, he's not going to come back to Jacksonville, correct? It just doesn't make sense.
It's got to be the case. But also, I've seen some wild numbers. I mean, some really wide ranges. I mean, anything from $12 million a year to that 2021 rate. So I really don't know where to land as far as what he's going to make. And that's going to be really fascinating. But if they let him go, Jacksonville's going to love the possible comp picks that could come from that, assuming Jacksonville doesn't, they're not heavy players in free agency themselves, which doesn't seem to be the case. Just taking a cursory look at, their salary cap situation and everything else. But we wrote about that on Big Cat Country also, so take a look there. But yeah, I don't know that they can pay those prices for that. It's not, especially at an off-ball linebacker position.
See, to me, the complicated one is Travis Etienne because he was so good in Cohen's offense. Obviously, he's a fixture here. His relationship with Trevor, but dollars make sense. And Etienne knows he's 27 years old. He maybe has one, possibly two more contracts in the league, but probably just one more big one. Somebody's going to probably pay him. And if you're Jacksonville, is that going to be you? Or is there an idea that, all right, Tootin, LaQuint Allen Jr., and maybe you go get a Rashad White from Liam Cohen's past to fill the Etienne void? What's your quick thought on Travis?
That's the problem. It's because they can actually afford that legitimately. Like they could even afford it at the franchise tag rate, and it still probably wouldn't feel great about it, but they could easily do it. So they have real choices to make, mainly about what's happening on the field, mainly about the roster construction and how they feel about the other guys that are behind them, Bashaw Tootin, LaQuint Allen, and how they feel about this draft class, where you can always get a guy in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round to kind of supplement in your backfield. So now you're stuck in the real hard conversation of, is this guy elite, or is he just really good, but also in this free agency cycle going to be asking for maybe closer to elite or very good money? Well, for a team that's tight to the cap, that's going to be a very difficult conversation. I personally don't know if they're going to re-sign any of these guys, but I wouldn't be shocked if you saw one of them, just not to create holes everywhere. But they have a lot of guys behind Travis Etienne as options, and that makes me feel like he's probably not going to be in Jacksonville.
Travis Holmes, Big Cat Country, and the Duval Dive podcast. Again, the Combine next week in Indianapolis. We are inside of 3 weeks away till NFL free agency. Travis, tell the good folks here in Jacksonville where they can find your work and what they can expect.
Well, I mean, BigCatCountry.com. For any of your written work for us covering the Jacksonville Jaguars, you can also comment in those comments there. We take our comments very seriously, and we try to stay engaged with the fan base because we always want to know what you guys are talking about. And similarly, on the Duval Dive from the Believe Podcast Network, where we love to kind of talk it once a week. We have the live podcast where we're just talking with the fans, not at the fans, because we want to know what you guys are talking about. And we also want to make sure we're talking back on what's happening truly in the Duval Devout fan base, sort of like you're at a tailgate. So that is where I can be found. And as always, I appreciate you having me on, Ryan, man. Thank you.
Hey, Travis, always enjoy the conversation. Appreciate you, pal, and we'll do it again soon.
Absolutely.
And thank you to Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country and the host of the Duval Dive podcast for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. There has certainly been a lot of Travis Hunter conversation since this past weekend where it's being reported. And again, it was a bigger story nationally than it was here. I think people here, we kind of knew it, right? James Gladstone said as much at his season-ending press conference last month that Travis Hunter potentially was going to be a lot on defense because of the makeup of the roster. I mean, the bottom line is Greg Newsome and Monteric Brown are free agents. You look on offense, the emergence of Parker Washington, the arrival of Jacoby Myers, obviously Brian Thomas Jr., Brenton Strange. I mean, the defensive back room is just simply more bare than the offensive room right now, so it makes sense to put Travis Hunter on defense when he gets fully healthy. But boy, nationally, it became a big story for whatever reason. But we certainly appreciate Travis for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark to talk about that. As, look, I don't blame the Jaguars at all. You could have a very, very good corner. And that's not to say that Travis Hunter won't play any offense either. I mean, I don't think Travis Hunter is going to be out on offense for 50 snaps, but give him 10, 15 plays per game. I mean, look, when you have Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers, Brian Thomas Jr., and Brenton Strange, you're set up pretty good on offense already. If you add Travis Hunter out there sparingly, well, I mean, that's just the cherry on top, but certainly defensively, because of the uncertain futures of Monteric Brown and Greg Newsome, among others, it does make a lot of sense to me anyway to put Travis Hunter primarily in the defensive backfield in 2026. So we certainly spent a lot of time on that. Spent some time on other big news around the National Football League as well, as again, the NFL Scouting Combine next week in Indianapolis. And we are now 20 days away from the beginning of NFL free agency. Well, that will just about do it, man. Very, very busy Tuesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. And we have a ton of people to thank. Again, Travis Holmes of Big Cat Country and the Duval Dive podcast. Thank you to Marcus Mosher of Fansided. He's also a host on the Locked On Podcast Network. Always appreciate talking Jaguars and NFL football with Marcus Mosher. And back in hour number 1, Ryan Roberts, A to Z Sports.com, as we took a look at the Travis Hunter situation and looked ahead again to the NFL Combine next week in Indianapolis. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Wednesday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Aaron Williams was your producer tonight. Aaron, great job as always. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Tuesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark, on 1010XL, and on 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have a terrific remainder of your Tuesday evening, and we will talk to you again tomorrow night on a Wednesday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then,